And then I retired, and then I come back to California where I lived. And then Dennis Erickson, who's the coach of the Seahawks, called my college coach, him and Gene Murphy. They were good friends. And Gene told Dennis to give me a call because Dennis wanted me to come up there. That's okay. And first I said, I'm not going. But he made me an offer, a financial offer I couldn't refuse. So I went. And we went 8-8. Warren Moon was my teammate then, and the team just wasn't good enough. And then after that, I was done. So then I retired after that. I walked away from the game instead of the game walking away from me, getting kicked out. And that's the best feeling when you can walk away from a sport.
Did you ever have any major injuries that threatened your career?
No, my worst injury, I fractured my ankle in 1989, and I fractured my scapula in the 1998 season. And I was going to go back for my 14th year in 99, 2000, and just didn't do it. I was done, and I knew it.
Yeah. So were you done with the game mentally, or did you think that from a physical standpoint you were getting too old for the position that you were playing? What was the impetus there?
Well, I felt like that guy. You remember Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
When Forrest Gump was running all over the place and people were following him?
Yeah.
And then when he stopped, and that was it?
Yep.
That was me. I said,
I'm done.
That was it. I'm done. There was no reflecting back. I was done, and I moved on to other things. And
so there you are in your early to mid 30s. 35. Look at that. And okay, look at the career, Super Bowls, an amazing story. What was the next chapter? A guy like you with that kind of experience could probably do whatever you wanted to do. What was the next chapter then for Mark Collins?
Well, the next chapter was to start a family. Did that, and I have 5 great kids. And then in the same time, start a business. Do my after football stuff. I did TV and radio for a good 4 or 5 years. I worked for Sky Sports over in London. Flew over there a few times. I did Super Bowl, I think it was Super Bowl 36, New England and Carolina. I think that was 36. I did the European feed as an analyst for Sky Sports. And then did some radio and TV. And then after a while, that whole landscape changed with these podcasts. And see, I went to school for radio and television communications, and you had to be trained to do stuff like that. Well, when the new wave of internet and all these podcasts and streaming services came out, the landscape changed because now they're bringing in people who are not trained in communications, and they're bringing people on just for ratings, for clicks or whatever. So I felt, and I missed that. I got bumped from opportunities because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna miss anybody's name. So anyway.
But you know what? In some degrees, Mark, that's made the broadcasting world more entertaining in some instances.
To a point. But that depends on what is entertaining to you. Now, I don't watch reality TV.
I don't either. I don't like it.
Some people do.
Right.
But some people do, which is fine. But all that does is just it waters down true talent. It waters down people who study to be actors, actresses, TV personalities, news anchors, stuff like that. Well, it's just like now. I mean, I know other people with podcasts, but back in the day, you had to be trained to do stuff like this. Now this is easier. It's an easier process, and I get it. We change with the times. But so with me changing with the times back then, what happened to me then? I changed to do other things. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
You know Joel Goldberg, right? here in Kansas City. Yeah, so Joel was on our podcast in the last season, and his story is really fascinating because that's what he was studying to be in communications and sportscaster and all those things. But he's taken that and what is now an era of I can sit down in front of a computer, I can get somebody on a Zoom meeting like what you and I are doing here today, and he's had one heck of a career in that broadcast media, and he's taken the new tools and really taken them to another. That's what I was saying is it's made it more entertaining. It's more fun. It's more free flow. It's on demand, if you will, as opposed to me having to sit down at a specific time to take in the content that's out there.
Yeah, and right. And Joel, great guy, and he's the voice of the Royals. So. Yeah, that's great. But I know a lot of people who wish they had that. A friend of mine here in San Diego, we did radio together back in the early 2000, late 1998, 99. Joe Tutino. Joe was the voice of the Chargers, and he's changed. He's doing the same thing that Joel Goldberg's doing with the soccer team out here. So
okay.
I get it. You got to make changes. And
sure.
These guys, they're great at it, and
they've got a passion for it, and I think that there's people that take that stuff in, and like I said, the on demand type of thing that you can get from what's happening today. Hey, I'm gonna hop in my car. Man, I missed what Joe Goldberg was saying, or I missed what Mark Collins was saying. I got to finish that story.
Yeah, you got to follow it. It's great.
Yeah, you would think that being able to take our sports stuff in like that, might make our married life's a little better too, but you guys sit around and wife says it's time to have dinner. Okay, let me pause this. We'll sit down and have dinner, as opposed to no, you got to wait for this game to be over. I got to wait for this broadcast to be over. Yeah. So, all right, so let's get into where you are today and what you're doing now with 25 Sports. And so, first of all, people can learn about 25 Sports if you're not familiar with it through a link here to the podcast. But what was your thought process there in helping these young athletes connect with people at the next level? How did you get into that?
Well, what happens in sports? As a former athlete, we're always, and I still get it to this day, but we always coach and we teach on the field techniques with players of all sports, whether it's football, baseball, basketball. That's what former players do, from high school to college to pros. We'll have a camp and just all the stuff. And I help a lot of my former teammates and friends of the league and college coaches by attending their camps. So, and I looked around and I said, you know what? There's got to be. I'm always thinking business to a point. It's not a bad thing. So I'm going, okay, how we help these kids get in shape and learn terminologies from playbooks and everything. There's got to be a way to help athletes get scholarships. So, because I still get asked, even before I started my business 10 years ago, can you talk to this coach for me for my kid, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I really don't know your kid to vouch for him. And watching video is, I'm not going to sit and evaluate, hours and hours of video when I want to play golf. So,
because golf takes hours and hours.
so there's got to be a better way. Me using technology. So I created 25 Sports. So what we do at 25 Sports is we give every student athlete the opportunity to gain exposure for college scholarships. The athlete will set their profile up on 25 Sports, and video, pictures, academics, all the accolades they received. And colleges will look for them based on the criteria the college is set. GPA, sport, position, region, whatever. And we bring them together. Now, I'm just a facilitator. I don't rate players. I don't do all that stuff, 5-star, 4-star. I just bring them together. And I found that to be a much, much needed thing to do. And I get it from parents every day. I mean, because a lot of parents don't know what recruiting is all about. They don't know the process. And Should they know about it? Maybe. It'd be nice for them to know, but some parents don't have the time with other things going on. But it's easier for a parent, an athlete, put their profile together, and the school the coaches put that together. Just like using the internet, what we do on the internet. We look for Amazon, we look for what we want. Okay, you put that in the cart. It's pretty much the same concept with 2-5 Sports. And if a coach likes what he sees on an athlete's profile, that coach will contact that athlete, and I just stand back and tell them to enjoy the connection. And it's pretty cool because I get to go out a lot and talk to a lot of school districts, a lot of high school, talk to a lot of coaches, and it's pretty nice.
That's got to be a lot of fun. You don't know this about me, but I had a brother, still have a brother. He was quarterback for Yale and went on to play over in the European Football League for a few years. He was a player coach, came back to the United States and wound up coaching for Harvard as a wide receiver coach, and then wound up coaching for Yale. And so he was in that arena, but his deal as a coach was it was mind-boggling, the amount of travel and the time that he had to put in going out and visiting these athletes all around the country and recruiting, right? So had your program 2-5 Sports been around when he was doing that, that had to have made a huge difference in his ability to find the talent that he wanted to recruit people to either Yale or Harvard, whichever school he would have been coached for at the time.
Oh, absolutely. And what works for us is there's a lot of schools, like, for instance, let's say Alabama, University of Alabama, their athletic budget, that's about $85 million. Well, they can still travel all over the place. Maybe not as much during COVID, which COVID has helped us out tremendously. But there are some schools that don't have that budget. Like, we're working with historically Black colleges. They don't have the budget to go out to recruit. Division III schools, no scholarships, but they use my services to look for players all over the country, because most of them don't have the budget to go out and look for athletes. Let's say there's a school in South Florida, and they want to travel to see somebody in Seattle, Washington, or the state of Washington. Well, travel, they got to be, they go 2-5 Sports, check the invitation of what they're looking at as information in my website, and pull up the players, and they want to look at their video, click a link, and it's there. And they can recruit that way from, their home or their school.
That's awesome. That really is. I mean, so to me, you think, I'm always thinking about business. You're coaching these young athletes, but you're doing more than that. You're connecting them or giving them visibility to be seen by universities across the country in a way that they couldn't do before.
Yeah, just want to give them the opportunity, because just like myself, and one of the reasons I started my business, because I was overlooked. I was one of those athletes. My senior year in high school, I thought I was good. I was, all conference and all this other stuff. But our team overall, we were just mediocre, if that. And sometimes these bigger colleges, they kind of turn away from programs that don't win much. So we didn't win much. But so the USCs, the UCLAs, the Notre Dames, or the Miamis, they didn't look at me. I got looked at by the Cal State Fullertons, which is a fine academic institution, Utah State, Nevada, Las Vegas, Northern Arizona. Those were the only schools that showed interest. So
that didn't turn out too bad for you. You got
but I got opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And I always say there's a lot of me's out there that need an opportunity. If I can provide that for them, then I think 2-5 Sports is the perfect vehicle to help them.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And feel free to give us some comments below. If you want to watch this entire episode, you can find the link here on the screen or in the description below. Thanks for watching.
Starting your route to retirement.